Right, so there's two big competitions right now going on, which is the Euros and the Copa America. And starting tomorrow, which would be Friday, July the 2nd, we are going to see the quarterfinals begin for both of the competitions. And I really can't wait to watch most, if not all of the matches if I can. But yeah, before that, I want to make my predictions for the rest of the tournament, starting with the quarterfinals. Anyways, let's get into it. So starting off with the Euros, the first match, which will play tomorrow, Switzerland versus Spain. Now, no one really thought that Switzerland was going to make it through, and they're looking like a pretty dangerous threat. They took down the world champions, France. They were obviously my favorites to win the whole thing, and Switzerland beat them. Clearly, I did not expect that, but good job on Switzerland for actually doing that. Meanwhile, Spain, they had a pretty tough fight up against Croatia, who were the runner-ups in the World Cup in 2018. But with that being said, they're still very good squads, both of them. Obviously, I feel like Spain have a better squad compared to Switzerland. Meanwhile, Switzerland, they have the momentum after beating France. So I think it's a pretty tough challenge. With that being said, I don't really know who to go for. Of course, I'm a Barcelona fan. Maybe I should go for Spain because, well, I'm a Barcelona fan. But I don't know. Switzerland have the momentum. They have the form. But I'm going to still go with Spain. Spain will be my choice or my prediction for the quarterfinal. To make it to the first semifinal. To be the first team to make it to the semifinal. Yeah, Spain to beat Switzerland in this first match of the quarterfinals. Now, the second match of tomorrow will be Belgium versus Italy. Personally, my favorite match of this whole quarterfinals round. And I'm very interested to see how it'll turn out. I'm very excited to watch this match. It'll be played out tomorrow. It'll be Belgium versus, well, I already said that, but anyways, both squads are fantastic, loaded with talent, both young and old, so it's very tough. It's very tough to say. I would say that Belgium have a weaker defense than Italy do, but they also have a stronger midfield and attack. That being said, Italy have had arguably the best form. They've only conceded one goal, and they've scored quite a few goals. So it's not like Italy don't have the form. Also, even before the European Championships, they've had excellent form. Meanwhile, Belgium, they're the number one team, ranked by FIFA, they're the number one team. And for good reason. Sure, their manager isn't the best, but I mean, he's gotten results. And also, the results that they've had, they've come back from behind. They've held Portugal to a 1-0 victory to Belgium. I mean, it showcases that they can defend, they can attack, and they could just control the game. So, fantastically, Belgium beat out Portugal and made it to this round. With that being said, to be fair, for me, there's no favorites in this match. There's no favorites in this match because they're so evenly matched, and I think it'll come down to the wire. It'll be a very close game, but I think Belgium will sneak through. Maybe on penalties, maybe extra time, but they will sneak through. And I think Belgium will be facing Spain in the semifinals for the next round. So moving on to Saturday now. The first game is the Czech Republic versus Denmark. Now, this is a pretty tough match. I mean, I think it's more evenly matched than Wales versus Denmark definitely was. And I think it's more evenly matched than Czech Republic versus Netherlands was. And it's just, this is both teams have the momentum. They have the form. Obviously, Denmark are still trying to just not forget, but just move past what happened against Finland. Obviously, they're still playing hard and working hard to go as far into the tournament as they can for their fallen friend, Christian Eriksen. Obviously, luckily, he's recuperated and everything. Still, it's fantastic that he's doing well. Very good for his family and himself, and for the Danes themselves. But with that being said, Czech Republic have also been fantastic. In the group stage, not so well, but I mean, against Netherlands, they played really well. Sure, the Netherlands went down to 10 men after an unfortunate De Ligt handball, which led to a red card and his expulsion, obviously. But still, and of course, the 2 goals came after that expulsion, but still, take nothing away from the Czech Republic. They played fantastically and deserved to be in this quarterfinal spot up against Denmark. that being said, who do I personally think should go through or will go through? It's a tough call. Czech Republic arguably have a decent squad, while Denmark also have a slightly better squad than them. Just maybe. But the squad doesn't really matter. Neither does the form because it's a one-off game. But either way, I'm going to go with Denmark to win and make it to the semifinals. For Christian Eriksen. Now, last but not least, the last quarterfinals. I personally think it's going to be a good one. It's Ukraine versus England. Now, Ukraine is definitely an underdog here. I think England would definitely be the favorites in this match. And to be fair, in the rest of the matches, there's not really many favorites. But anyways, England versus Ukraine. Ukraine obviously got a fantastic win over Sweden. I really thought Sweden was gonna win that game. But I mean, Ukraine played really well. Obviously, their form didn't really speak of it, considering the group stage wasn't that good for them. But I mean, still, fantastic job on Ukraine and Andrei Shevchenko's side. Meanwhile, England, they overcame Germany, a very tough opposition, a large rival that they've had for many years, and they've broken a curse. While Harry Kane finally broke his goal drought and scored his first goal at this tournament. Meanwhile, Raheem Sterling scored his third of this tournament. And you also have to remember, England haven't conceded a goal yet. They played 4 matches, conceded 0, scored 4. Sorry, I was about to say scored 0, but it's insane. It's insane. I think they have the least amount of goals scored, but also the least amount of goals conceded. So great on them. Their defense has probably been the most criticized part of their side, yet they haven't conceded a goal yet. So I think they won't be fully tested, but I think Ukraine will put up a fantastic fight, and it will be a very tough match for England. Still, I think England will progress and make it to the semifinals if it wasn't already obvious. Semifinals now, it will be Belgium versus Spain. At least this is what I predicted, and oh my, if this does come to pass, this will be an entertaining match, that's for sure. Obviously, Belgium will hopefully, or be hoping, that a few of their players come back from injury, mainly Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard. But Spain, they've played well in the last 2 games, to be fair. Conceded a lot of goals, but also scored a lot of goals. So, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to rate Spain at this tournament because at times they've looked absolutely atrocious. But they've also looked absolutely fantastic. So it's tough. But they will be facing a very tough opposition in Belgium. Spain, they're lacking a top number 9. And I just think Spain don't bring that much threat when it comes to the final touch, because Morata isn't performing, Gerard Moreno isn't performing, so they're relying a lot on their midfielders and their wingers to score the goals. I mean, of course, Morata scored, but still, that's besides the point. Meanwhile, Belgium, I don't want to say they're lacking a bit of control, but they kind of are. That midfield is just, it looks a little empty without Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, he got injured in the Portugal match, and he played most of the match until he got injured. But, I mean, once he was gone, it liked the sort of, Belgium's midfield just liked the sort of presence there. But, I mean, they still have a wealth of talent, both in midfield and in attack. Defense, a little shaky, but their goalkeeper, fantastic. World class, one of the top goalkeepers in the world right now. Still, though, Belgium would look like the favorites in this tie if it were to come to pass. And I think Belgium would make it to the final and beat Spain in the semifinal tie if it comes true. Kudos to them to make it into the semifinal, if they do. But still, Belgium, I think, should make it to the final. Now in the other semifinal, we have Denmark facing England. Now this is an interesting one because on one side you have an average side, an average side, but with a very strong cause that could lead them to go very far, even to the final. I mean, semifinals is pretty far for them either way, but they would be a very, very easy underdog to root for. Denmark being. But But England also they've proven to be a pretty solid squad and side to actually go against. I mean, they beat Germany, they would have beat the Ukraine, and they wouldn't have conceded many goals. Of course, they would have conceded 0 at least, or maybe a little more depending on how the Ukraine game goes. But at this point, I feel like England definitely have a shot at winning the whole entire thing. If we just look at the game, I think England will just have enough power and talent to beat Denmark in the semi-final tie if it were to come. So yeah, England to face Belgium in the final. Now the final, Belgium versus England. I said it's not coming home. At least that's what I think. But what am I going to predict? It's tough. It's tough. On one hand, I do want England to win this tournament, but I also want Belgium. I love both teams. I truly do. And at this stage, I'm not sure if the injured players would return, such as Kevin De Bruyne. Personally, he's one of my favorite players. But I don't know. Belgium definitely have a strong squad, but so do England. So do England. England have a fantastic squad. Their defense is probably their lacking, even their goalkeeper. But I mean, again, haven't conceded much goals up to this point, at least before the quarterfinals. But it's a tough call. Very tough call. Belgium have also not conceded many goals. I think they've only conceded 1 before the quarterfinals. So it's tough. It's very tough to call. Personally, I do like to go in with the stronger squad. That would be Belgium. But for the momentum, for the occasion, for just so we could finally happen, England winning this tournament could very much happen. But I'm gonna predict Belgium to win this European Championship. Obviously, the one that I predicted beforehand twice was France, and clearly that was not to be. They lost out to Switzerland. But anyways, I think Belgium will end up winning this tournament. Alright, so Copa America time. I'm gonna quickly just go through these quarterfinals, and I'll see if I'll keep going up to the final and the winner. But anyways, it's getting dark and you might hear some extra noise because of my neighbors. But anyways, it's getting dark, so I'm trying to speed things up. But anyways, first match, Peru versus Paraguay. I think Peru will win that one. Brazil versus Chile, and I think Brazil will win that one. Uruguay versus Colombia. Uruguay. Last but not least, Argentina versus Ecuador. I think Argentina will win that one. And I think the semifinals would be Argentina versus Uruguay and Brazil versus Peru. So Brazil versus Peru, I think it's gonna be quite tough. It was the final last year, or 2 years ago, I believe. But I think Brazil will win that one again quite comfortably. So Brazil to make it to the final. Argentina, Uruguay. It'll be a very tough match, but I think Argentina will also make it to the final. And Brazil versus Argentina. I love both teams. Honestly, if both of them could win, I wish they would. But Brazil have the stronger side. Argentina have the momentum, and they have Lionel Messi. You can never count him out at all. Of course, it's the Copa America final. He's failed to win twice, but I think this time it'll be his shot, and I'm hoping that he wins it for Argentina, leads his team to victory, and wins it. So that's my prediction: Argentina to beat Brazil in the Copa America final. Yeah. Anyways, if you guys like this video, please do like and subscribe, and I think that's it. See you guys in the semifinals. Later.